Okay, I've got a quick video on the front disc brake caliper for my early CitiCar with a Terrell axle. So it has front disc brakes, rear drums, and as has been often said in the community, these are aircraft parts. You'll notice that it's got this bar and a spring. There's normally a second spring on the other end of the bar, but that's over on the workbench. That clips right onto these holes on the brake pads. And I believe those are a piece that are not used with aircraft, but they're added by the folks at Vanguard to try and get the pads to retract and get off the rotor so there's less drag for the CitiCar, so we're not introducing issues with reduced range due to added friction. Anyhow, I'm noticing having these apart, I've removed the O-ring so the cylinder can move freely, that this cylinder is really big and the pads are actually kind of slightly off center. And the springs are also off center on the cylinder, so when it gets pulled down from that location, it tends to cock that cylinder in at an angle and wedge it into place. Both mine were wedged into place, one really well and the other one fairly well. But to get this caliper off the car, you pull these two bolts here out of it. I think these were fitted to Cessna 152s and 172s, 172s. These aren't the right washers, but they're generally washers here, and this is the outer pad. Once you have that off, you'll have this unit mounted on the car like this. Pull the rotor off, which will be blocking it, and then this pulls off out the back. Slides off on these two pins. That's the only thing holding it onto the car is the friction between those two pins and then the actual outer pad preventing it from moving backwards away from the rotor. From there, you'll have to pull off one of these springs, which will allow you to pull out this second brake pad. And in operation, the way this works is the cylinder is pushed out by hydraulic pressure, which pushes the pad against the rotor, which pushes this cylinder backwards out on these sliding pins. So you need to make sure they're nice and lubricated and clean. Then the outer pad will contact the rotor and they'll compress. So if that piston isn't floating properly on these two pins, you're going to have marginal braking. There's an O-ring that goes in this groove, and you want to make sure that this isn't pitted here. This is like a Dunlop disc brake where the actual piston carries the seal and the sealing surface is here on the inside. I'm not certain these are gonna pass a standard to not leak, but I guess time will tell. But for the whole time I've owned my CitiCar, I've only heard speak of these and not so much seen them in their various different parts. So I pulled mine off today and thought I'd show this for everybody in case you were curious how all the pieces went together.